Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vera, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how I set up my bullet journal spreads for the month of April. This is the first time I've decided to show my face on camera, so excuse me if I'm a little bit awkward, but yeah. I hope this adds a slightly more personal touch to my videos, and I hope you enjoy. If you're new here, please like and subscribe. It takes literally 2 seconds, costs you nothing, and totally makes my day. Anyway, in today's video, I'll be showing you how I set up my cover page, my monthly log, my habits tracker, my finance tracker, brain dump, and my weekly spreads of April.
For my cover page, I decided to go with a 2-page spread, which I'm not used to doing anymore. And I started drawing my orange and lemon slices on a diagonal across the page. And I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera, but first of all I grabbed a pencil and a round object and drew different size circles across the diagonal. And then now I'm just filling them out with orange paint and yellow paint. So to paint out my orange and lemon slices, basically I paint a circle, and then I paint in triangles of different sizes on the inside to represent each of the little bits of the orange and lemons. This technique was very slow, and I changed my technique later on in the video, so keep watching to see that. For less work, I probably should have just left it with just my orange and lemon slices, but I decided that I wanted to fill in the white space with a turquoise color. And because it's my first time using gouache and I'm not the best at mixing colors all the time and keeping it even, the colors end up being a bit patchy and turn into more green or more blue. So I got a bit annoyed about that, but I mean, it's fine. I think it still looks kind of cute. So I also tried to match colors a little bit better, but it didn't really work. My favorite process of my April spreads is actually the tape removal. It's so satisfying seeing the clean straight line of the tape when it's removed. Oh, so satisfying. Then I grabbed a white pen and started writing April, and then I also wrote 04 for the month. I also grabbed 2 Archer and Olive acrylograph pens to add in some details and texture into my lemon and oranges. So here is my final cover page for April. So the next spread is the monthly log, and I have already laid down the tape for this spread, but basically I have a 5x5 square calendar and then a master to-do list on the left. When I say a 5x5 square calendar, I mean that each day of the calendar is 5 squares by 5 squares. This time I decided to paint the turquoise color first and then go in with my orange and lemon slices. The turquoise color ended up being a little bit more blue than I wanted it to be, but I couldn't be bothered to change it. And for your viewing pleasure, a quick tape removal clip, very satisfying. I then went in with my ruler to trace out the different lines for the calendar. I wrote the initials of each day of the week with a black pen, and here's what the spread looks like. So I'm now moving on to my habits tracker, and I've already laid down the tape for my tracker, and I'm just doing my oranges and lemons and my turquoise background. What I've started doing now, instead of doing small individual triangles, is I just paint the entire circle orange or yellow, and then with white paint I go over the top and draw the lines. And I hope you're not bored of tape removal clips, because they're gonna keep coming. Anyway, as you can see, my habit trackers are split into 3 different boxes, and the one on the top is for individual habits, which I'm going to track every single day. And I just put a random number of lines because I'm not sure how many habits I want to track this month. And the idea behind that kind of tracker is that every single day I color in a box. And if you want ideas for different habit trackers, just head on over to my Instagram page. I really like how this habits tracker page turned out, and I have my habits on the top, steps, and then phone tracker. Here I'm planning out my finance tracker, and it's just a very basic table that's split into 5 different columns with date, item, category, cost, and a little checkbox so that when I've added it to totals I can tick it off. And here's what it looks like. The next spread I'm doing is my brain dump page, and I've only recently been getting into brain dump pages again, so I planned it over 2 pages instead of 1. And of course I just did my orange and lemon slices with a different kind of like strip of turquoise at the top and at the bottom. And I use my brain dump for note taking, for fun facts, for saving any important information that I need, or anything like that. Anything that's in my brain, I just like write it down on this page. Before moving on to the weekly spreads, I wanted to show you a bit of the process that goes into planning out each of my weekly spreads and just all my spreads in general. I use a pencil and I plan everything out in pencil beforehand, and in this situation I also lay down tape for the different painting spots in the journal, which is what you're seeing now. The first weekly spread of April is accompanied by a quote page on the left hand side, and the reason for this is because the week is only 4 days, or at least I've planned it only 4 days, because the first 3 days I put in March. And the quote I chose for April is, "Growth is growth no matter how slow." And I chose this word because growth is my word of the year. For this layout, I chose to paint the borders of my weekly spread, which was a lot of fun because the tape removal was incredibly satisfying and gratifying. And then I went over the dried paint with a black pen to write out all of the information that I needed. So my next weekly spread is this one, and I'm using a Dutch door system again because it works really well for me and I have a lot more space to write in. And I'm using some Archer and Olive acrylograph pens to write out the days of the week and then the different little elements on the page. If you've been following me on Instagram or watched my previous YouTube video where I set up my March bullet journal, you'll notice that I use the same Dutch door spread every week. And that's because it gives me enough space so that I can write everything down whilst I'm working during the week. In this situation, I cut out 8 rows from the top and 8 rows from the side so that it gives me enough space for all of my different columns. And for this weekly, I decided to paint the background in my orange and lemon theme with a turquoise background, and I think it turned out really, really cool, and the tape removal was extremely satisfying. Head over to my Instagram to see that in a reel. After painting everything, I have 8 columns for Monday through Sunday and a to-do list, and then I have an extra column on the left which is my events for the week. And I just traced out with an acrylograph pen the different lines separating each day, and then I wrote out the days of the week. I also took a black pen and I wrote out April using a fake calligraphy style, and I also wrote out a mini calendar and the routine. And this is the finished look. In the next spread, whilst I kept my Dutch door, I actually moved it to the top of the page, and on the bottom part I added this decorative strip with my theme in, and I thought it looked a bit different, changed things up a little bit, so I was pretty happy with that. But whilst I liked the little strip at the bottom, I felt like it was still lacking a bit of art at the top, so I added in just some plain orange and lemon slices at the top without any turquoise colour. Once that was done, I figured I was still lacking the turquoise, so I used a turquoise acrylograph pen to write out the days of the week and to draw out the lines of all of my boxes. And whilst I was writing the days of the week, I just aligned them to the bottoms of the orange slices to give it a kind of cooler effect. Then I drew out my events for the week on the left, as well as a mini calendar on the top left. For my last weekly spread of April, I used my theme as a background color again, and I changed up the boxes a little bit so it was easier to paint and faster as well, because at this point it was taking me just far too long to paint everything out. Like laying the tape down, painting everything, waiting for it to dry, it was very tedious, even though the effect was pretty cool. The hardest part about this theme was definitely painting out the turquoise colour. Like keeping the colour constant was extremely difficult. If anyone has tips on how to do that, let me know, because it's really hard. But overall I was pretty satisfied with how it turned out. And here's one more tape removal for the road. Let's go. So even though the painting part was my least favourite, the tape removal was totally worth it. To finish off this weekly spread, I wrote out my routine, the different days of the week, my events, and I drew out all the lines. And a mini calendar, of course. And I realised as I was writing out that mini calendar that I had missed out on writing the mini calendar in other weeks, so I went back and did that as well.
If you've watched this far, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe because it really helps me out. Anyway, on to the flip through.
So the first page is my cover page, which apparently I was really struggling to keep that page open. My next one is my monthly log, which is probably my favourite spread of the whole month. Then we have my habits tracker, sorry, take that back, this is my favourite. My finance tracker, my brain dump page, my first weekly of April, then my second weekly of April, third weekly, fourth, and the last one.
After filming all these spreads, I decided that I actually wanted to include a gratitude and one-line a day log. So I filmed it on my phone, so you can go check those out on my Instagram. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed filming it because it's probably one of my favourite things I've done ever. It was really fun to paint with gouache for the first time. So yeah, I hope to see you in the next video and see you soon.